Today we're going to discuss the transgressions and evidence levied at VTuber Akuma Miko and see if we can't point some fingers and laugh as well as piss off half of the audience in the process. No content warning for this video, as most of the things Akuma Miko is responsible for are so cartoonishly stupid and evil that I find it hard to take the context seriously, but I'll try my best. If you clicked on this bait title and thumbnail, not fully prepared for the worst though, then you're more than I give you credit for. Congratulations. Akuma Miko, or Cassidy, has been accused of a number of offenses, from doxing to jokes or misgendering, which is the equivalent of being upset that I didn't acknowledge that you have a new pet. The old one died, you cried for about 5 minutes, and you took your ass to the pet store and bought you a new one. Because whether or not you agree with it, the reality is something that's important to you probably isn't important to me, nor anyone else. And being able to see the different depths of color as opposed to black and white means accepting that your feelings may not come before something or someone else. Your identity is in the word. It's how you define who you are. If we put how much you feel above other issues like starvation, suicide, murder, and rape, how are you any better than the people who argue facts and logic over the same topic? You do and should have the right to value or speak your mind about anything you like, but you just can't expect anyone to care. You should appreciate the people who do, but neglect the people who do over the ones that refuse to means that you value your importance over everyone else. It's borderline retarded at best and narcissistic at worst. Just like, as a straight white man, I know that people won't respect my opinion regardless, but I appreciate the people who do, either because they're mindless clones that agree with anything that reflects their values, or because they're willing to open up a dialogue. There is only so many different ways I can spin this to help it sink in properly, but anymore and I'm just hammering a broken nail. You're either already on board or you were never attempting to listen to me in the first place. But why am I saying all of this? Well, typically I tend to stay middle of the road and stick to the script rather than my opinion of it, but today I'm going to open up on my personal stance towards pronouns and the people who feel that we should get used to them, lest we be canceled and erased from the history books, or whatever the fuck these people do. Cheer on the death of political activists, I suppose. So without relying on feelings or science, I think that it's fair to agree that most people base reality on what they can see, hear, touch, etc. My question to you is, if we take away one of those senses, how would I be able to describe you? If I lose my sight, do you sound like a man or a woman? If I have to rely on touch alone, would I feel 2 pounds of makeup over 5 o'clock shadow and an Adam's apple? Look, you can be whatever the you want to be, but if words alone are the only thing that define who and what you are, I think you're playing a dangerous game. Take Mike here, for example. He wants so badly to have legs, but without a visual representation, what am I just supposed to pretend? But he rolls into the office on Monday morning and I'm supposed to be like, "You're the life of this weekend's fun run, Mike. You've been getting those squats in at the gym. Quads look phenomenal. Stand tall." My point is that if you want to be taken seriously in your identity, it's narcissistic to think anyone else should play along, especially if you aren't willing to play along yourself. That being said though, I don't think anyone should have to mutilate themselves to be comfortable in their own skin, but I do think that you should be cautious with what you expect from others. Believe it or not, most people don't care about how you see yourself, but not because they disagree or they avoid it, but because it doesn't affect their personal lives. And if I have to treat your emotional stability like I do my 6-year-olds, we have got a problem. Act professional, stop crying, and don't let people that don't impact our lives change how we feel. Alright, moving on. One of the more egregious things Akuma Miko has been accused of is lolly support. Although, as stated by fellow YouTuber Andreas Werbell, Akuma Miko tends to take the stance of, well, whatever the is gonna give her the least amount of flack at the time. With examples shown here, also provided by Andreas, who has made a fantastic video covering the drama if you want more guarded and level-headed approaches to this topic, and not just some with a router avatar standing on a soapbox preaching shut the fuck up and mind your own business. I'll leave the link in the description, so go check it out. Now, before we get started, I know that there has been a lot of debate around the Lolicon subject between those who promote it, support it, defend it, and people who vehemently hate it. And if you're anything but the latter, you might as well just click off now because you know I'm not going to have anything good to say about you. I know it, you know it, Mike here knows it, the rest of the audience knows it. So for those of you with a completely normal life outside of the internet, Lolicon or Lolly is described as media, usually specifically anime or manga, that depicts underage or seemingly prepubescent female characters. The implications are already planted in your innocent little mind, and the context clues can lead you to why this subject is so controversial, as you may question why an adult may be promoting it in any form or fashion. Now don't stress, although Lolly does depict underage or seemingly underage females, does not mean that all content featuring underage or seemingly underage females is considered Lolly. Typically this involves a litany of female characters, more often than not in a sexual manner. A good yet horrifying example would be a visually underage female lusting after a protagonist, or accidental shots of these girls in overtly suggestive positions or situations. As anime typically tends to classify genres based less on subject matter, but typically the structure of the show is built around shonen, shoujo, you get the idea. It makes it a lot easier to find anime that you want to avoid, especially in a media space that has questionable content to begin with. Now, a lot of lolly will skirt the line on how far they take it, going right up to the line and dancing around it, while the anime community, well, yeah. Those who do watch the genre, or at least have a firm understanding of it, would argue that the depiction of a lolly character, although retaining the personality, characteristics, sounds, and looks of a child, are more often than not written to be something typically hundreds or thousands of years old that chooses to or is forced to maintain a childlike appearance. Therefore, nothing featuring the character in a perverted manner is considered amoral. But it certainly is. There is even a distinct other side of this that anime fans are all too familiar with. Some female characters, normally depicted with more mature qualities, tend to be revealed as young teenagers that usually lead to the viewer being incredibly uncomfortable with how they're depicted. Shows the contrast between people who have a clear stance against this type of behavior and others who will walk right over the line and defend their actions to the death. Others would argue that although this comes off as creepy or pedo-ish, it's still not illegal in some countries, though therefore it's safer to consume it from illustrated characters rather than real children. I say, if your justification is that the imagery yourself or these people are pulling their puds to is only childlike in appearance alone, well, here's a wood chipper. Don't forget to take your shoes off. Mental illness and other excuses aside, you should never be accepting of anyone's desire to see children come to harm in any way, even depictions or visual representations. I think we can all agree that sexual relations with anyone outside of the human adult with the capabilities to make rational cognitive decisions for themselves, or inanimate objects like couch pillows, blenders, or vegetables, not that type of vegetable, should be locked away. That being said, the closest example to Lolly's support or anything like it is an image of her OC as a child, which, unless she's implying this should be fuckable, I think that it's just a child version of her OC done by AI. As you can see, there's clear inconsistencies. Kind of reaching if you ask me. Also, these weird images of what I assume is herself as a cat and someone trying to fuck it, which is super weird and degenerate, but I don't think she wants to cats as much as she just wants to be a furry. And with that, the video is officially age restricted, and I appreciate the remaining 10 viewers that made it this far. To hit the most noteworthy topics though, Akuma Miko has been shown to be more than comfortable with not only confrontation, whether that be of an ex, of her boyfriends, or a former acquaintance that sharing their own experiences with Miko on Twitter and warning everyone what she's capable of, because a big part of what really makes her dangerous isn't her hurtful comments or lack of consideration of others' feelings, but how she likes to push people to their breaking points. If you've gotten to know her, there is a large enough possibility you may have come to a disagreement, and it seems Miko isn't comfortable accepting any level of responsibility. If it's gone much further than that, it's more than likely that you've had multiple nasty encounters with her, as she has been accused of harassing and stalking. Some clear examples of her inability to take responsibility or even just let things go is how she persists for people she feels has wronged her personal information. She doesn't seem to be bothered that she's pushed anyone to hurt themselves, and even goes as far as to wish that harm or more on them. Now, with so many things Miko has been accused of, and by so many different individuals, from tales of deception and betrayal because Akuma Miko gaslighted someone into questioning their professional DID diagnosis, to one of Akuma Miko's well-documented real-life long-term relationships that began with the phrase, "I'll suck your dick for some weed." No, I'm not kidding. That's exactly how it's worded. It's hard to scroll through a Google Doc and still take it seriously. But don't get me wrong, Miko here has done some really stupid and really terrible things. But when the list ranges from devastating to, well, I went to school with Akuma Miko, and when we were both 7, I saw her drink of full-fat milk from the cafeteria lunch line, and ever since then, I've seen her as nothing more than a complete monster. Or, Akuma Miko and I used to work together, and after work, she would give out handies for cigarettes behind the building. For an extra 2, you'd spit in your mouth and slide a digit up your ass. I feel like I'm comparing a bad breakup to the Holocaust, and honestly, some of you know how bad a breakup can be. So, although we have many different people with their own stories about their own perspectives on Miko, I'm just not inclined to delve into every single piece in this cursed timeline. That being said, though, there are some allegations being levied against Akuma Miko and whatever the this blue-haired thing is, as harassers, doxers, stalkers, swatters, pushing people to self-harm. That's retarded. The internet isn't real life. Don't do that. And in one weird case, attempting to hire a hitman to take someone out, which, if true, what the Miko? Although a majority of these stories are from someone who desperately needs to be the victim in their own redemption arc, there are some irredeemable ones we need to discuss, but my biggest problem with this drive is the literal nothing burgers mixed in with actual problems that only go to undermine the real issues. Like, for example, on a number of occasions, she's been accused of doxing or attempting to dox with evidence to back that accusation up. Now, although I disagree with doxing entirely, I spent several days combing through the information over and over and over again, as I couldn't find any reasoning behind it. Don't take that the wrong way, though. There's never a reason to pull someone's private information, but normally there is a breadcrumb trail that leads to this incredibly retarded outcome. But I believe this started with a disagreement on someone's DID diagnosis. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch Split. And this led to a back and forth shit-slinging contest that eventually led to Akuma Miko looking for this individual's private information so she could turn it into the authorities. For what? The point I'm trying to make is that there is a lot here to hold Akuma Miko accountable for, even if it's over the pettiest of shit. This is my biggest problem with VTubers, though. It's like swapping traumatic horror stories with your friends, and the VTubers are the friend that tries to compare the terrors of war with a bad breakup. The problem with the details are that the real serious controversy is buried under a lot of personal and petty bullshit. It's like reporting that someone you met on Tinder assaulted you on your first date, and the only thing you seem to be hung up on is how they made you split the bill. Imagine watching a horror movie, and in the very beginning, our final girl gets a phone call from work by an anonymous caller telling her not to go home tonight, and then the next 40 minutes you're stuck watching her finish her 8-hour shift at Denny's. That's what this was like, reading through this document. And listen, I'm not saying your personal grievances don't matter, but what I am saying is that they're really boring and they don't matter to us. The long and short of this is that this video was a monster for me to cover, not because of the scale or length of information presented, but because of its format. Some things seem to be ridiculous that your mind can't rationalize the sheer levels of stupidity, and so you find yourself endlessly combing through word after word, sentence after sentence, and paragraph after paragraph for something more concrete, a reason for the madness, because no rational audience could possibly believe that one little chart could possibly be the next bioterroristic attack. But apparently, here we are. Maybe I missed something, and trust me, I had plenty of sources to reach out to, but after all is said and done, I wanted to wrap this shit show up and move on. On a brighter note, though, I am going to do my first official router-hosted live stream to talk about what we missed, go through all that I found, and really delve into the retarded shit further as a sort of post-mortem. So don't forget to like, comment, let me know anything that I missed, subscribe and click the bell to be notified as soon as I go live, or for any other future or past content. My patrons are going to be on screen right now. Thank you guys so much, but until next time, be well.